Hello and welcome, everybody. Good evening. Hello from wonderful, beautiful Kenya. I'm here on the call with Ryan Messer, the CEO of Storh. My name is Claudia Eifert, and I'm going to host this presentation tonight together with Ryan Messer, CEO from Storh, because we want to talk about the Storh token. And I'm also going to have on the call the CEO of Utopian Global, who's coming on board in a second, who's with me in Kenya, in this beautiful country, which we are since 1 week already, and we have another week to go and big meetings over here. Ryan, how are you?
Great. How are you? Good to see you.
Yes, I'm very, very good. Thank you. Exciting, a little bit tired today.
Yeah,
we have a lot of meetings. I think I must have done like 40 presentations or so today, I guess.
Wow, that's good. Things are certainly picking up. I feel it. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's picking up there. Certainly, people have a lot of interest. We traveled from Mombasa yesterday back to Nairobi. We stayed already a few days before Nairobi. We're going to have a big meeting at the end of the week upcoming in Nairobi. I think we expect something like between 200 or 300 people at least. So which is going to be fantastic. They all want to learn about, obviously, the Utopian Global platform and about the Storh token and how they can earn residual rewards. So it's going to be really great. But I want to just, before we go over and start really the presentation here, just briefly, of course, say hello to all the people from all around the world, which we always have on board listening in. So all your YouTube viewers and Facebook, hello to you guys. All the people from United States, Canada, Latin America, Africa, Australasia, which is really early mornings. And I know you just did a call, Ryan, for Australia, like 5 a.m. their time, which this is real commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, we're trying to wake all these Aussies up and get them on board. So yeah, it was a bit early. He said he had 4 hours sleep. So I think everyone's doing big hours at the moment.
Fantastic. And that's really what it is. That's entrepreneurship. Obviously, we are starting a very amazing project with your Storh token, where, of course, we are the marketing arm. And so that takes a lot of commitment, which is clear because we've got to get the message out for people, what they really have with that. So I want to give you just a quick overview about, of course, the company. Ryan, if you just mute yourself quickly, just to avoid the background noise. Great. And then I'm going to introduce you again to Ryan. Ryan is going to talk a little bit more about that Storh concept. So company, as you see, Utopian Global is based in Dubai, in the DMCC, that's in the Jumeirah Lakes. Over there right now where you see the picture, that is actually where the company is based, in the Dubai Multi-Commodities Center. And the Utopian Global Ecosystem, so the company is basically a unique marketing platform for physical precious metals, so the real gold, and income-producing assets on the blockchain Storh. That's what we promote through the Utopian Global Ecosystem, and a professional education system where we coach you, obviously, on real wealth and generational wealth. The founder of Utopian Global is Bill Rowell. Bill Rowell, he is an Australian citizen born in Melbourne, Australia. He himself has been is a very successful entrepreneur, having owned and operated 4 hotels in Australasia, where at the end, his last hotel, he actually sold and was looking for alternative investments. And he himself is a founder. He himself, the founder and director of CEO, is a licensed precious metals trader in the DMCC in Dubai. That's why the location Dubai. And you see his government licensed from the DMCC there in both languages, English as well as in Arabic. And our precious metals, they come from Argo Horias. Argo Horias is the largest precious metals refining company in the world. They do over 20% of the annual gold refining. It's the LBM refinery. And of course, we have been providing precious metal services since now over 11 years. Well, not over 11 years, almost close to 11 years. Sorry, I correct myself there. It's in the beginning of March when we are 11 years. Ryan, as you just saw him briefly on this presentation, well, he is here today, obviously with a Storh token, presenting the Storh token because of the long lasting relationship he had actually with Bill Rowell, our founder and CEO of Utopian Global. You see Ryan there in young years. I don't think he has changed much, so he looks really pretty much the same still. So Ryan, you don't age. Not sure. I need to look or understand a little bit your beauty secrets there. So what is it?
I've gained a couple of pounds. I've gained a couple of good pounds there. I was pretty skinny back in those days. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, lots of oil that I rub all over my face.
I guess, I don't know. Anyhow, having a little bit fun here, don't we? So Bill, when he sold his last hotel, he was looking for different types of investments, and he was introduced to Philip Judge. Philip Judge at the time, he did run a gold bullion bank as well as an energy fund together with Ryan Messer there. Bill was actually investing a large figure, a 7-figure income, actually into that energy fund. Why? Because that energy fund would give a great return of around 20% at the time. And so that was a very passive income, way better than any bank return, bank deposit, right? And so that's how long this relationship is basically there with them. And of course, now today, we have what we provide to you here. This is the Storh token. The Storh token basically is now taking on board the new technology, blockchain, and smart contracts for the Ethereum ERC-223 token, where basically we do tokenize assets. So Ryan, with his long history in energy and the energy sector of drilling oil and whatever he can tell you in with his own words, basically now we're using that new technology to distribute those assets to its token holders, and from the production of these assets, well, there's distributions, those gains basically will be paid back to its token holders. So it's a pretty ingenious concept, and we, the unique Utopian marketing arm, we, for you, the listener, the audience, our customers, also our affiliates, you can basically through us get engaged into that pre-sale right now of the asset-backed token, the ETO equity token, only for our platform. So what does Storh stands for? Sustainable Technology and Resource Holdings. As you see, a tokenized commodities platform that seeks and explores opportunities in the resource industry and enhances investors' access to these opportunities via tokenization of energy, mineral, and asset ecosystems. So right now, you guys, all would you listen now into this presentation, well, that's basically like a pre-IPO. So imagine a company goes, I'm always talk about Amazon because everybody knows Amazon. Imagine you would have been a friend of Jeff Bezos or somehow involved with him, and you would have known before Amazon even went public. You would have known about, that company, that what his plans are, and you would have been able to get a chance and entry into that before that. So imagine today how your bank account would look like. Would be great, wouldn't it? Because I mean, the increase, I don't know how many hundreds of times that actually has happened now, of course, over the course of years, has been built a great company. So what we, of course, what Ryan is doing with Storh, through the Storh token, well, he just doesn't doesn't have a product like Amazon, but he has a product in an energy sector, which is on a huge demand, which is the largest industry in the world, and which, of course, we do on a daily basis. It's a necessity, and we cannot live without energy, basically, to put it in a nutshell. And Ryan, you, if you may now just basically unmute yourself, because I want to obviously introduce you here now, because you and Bill, through this long relationship, of course, with Utopian Global as well, and looking into mining, cryptocurrency mining, building mining farms, etc., because you know where cheap energy is available and how to get it. But at the end, you came up with this amazing, ingenious idea of this tokenization of assets. So maybe you want to just touch on it a little bit for the audience, because we have a lot of new people on the call who don't know you. We know you. I invested in your energy fund back then as well, and I'm really happy and pleased with it. And we have another lady again, and she was on the call as well a few weeks back, Shirley Munt. All her family invested in that energy fund with and through Philip Judge and yourself back then. So this is, I mean, talking about over 10 years ago. So tell us a little bit more about the concept, why you actually started Storh, and of course, what the people basically, can gain from it.
Yeah, sure. So I guess a little bit of background for the new people that are on the call, and welcome to anyone who's new. We try to cover some new information every time, as Keithy puts it, some additional gold nuggets. I've been in the oil and gas sector, the energy sector, for nearly 20 years now. We got out of school in the mid 90s with a business degree, finance, marketing, and went into the IT space. So I was in the IT sector up until the early 2000s, and then of course got into the energy space, moved to Australia for 2 years, and did quite a few things. Spent 10 years as the chief operating officer for a public company, but really exposed to all layers of the energy sector. And the last 2 years, with partnership with Randall Eddington, who is our director of midstream now over Storh, and he looks over all of our services business and all of our midstream business, so the sort of the supply chain, if you will, for the energy sector. But really glad I reconnected with you guys about a year. It's been a year and 4 months now, I think. We reconnected, and the crypto space has always been one that's been very fascinating. I've been fascinated by it for years. I started mining, 2.5 years ago. Ethereum and a few other things, and then got pretty heavily involved on the ASIC side. Randall and I had built out a pretty sizable facility of our own, but traveled around with you guys quite a bit over the last year. And our business model was a little bit different at the time, but I'm glad it sort of played out the way it did, because really the answer was right in front of us the entire time. I mean, people are looking for things that are in demand, assets that are in demand globally, things that generate cash flow, foundational assets, real true assets. And I think the shakeout of 2017 and 2018 was, no more theoretical ideas. Look, I love technology just like the next person, but when you're looking at something as a personal investment, and you're looking to build, foundational wealth, or you're looking at generating cash flow for yourself, it's always fine to put a little bit in those sort of highly speculative programs if you really feel that the management team that's behind them has a high degree of execution. But 99% of those white papers last year had no teams, right? And they had never done this before. This was out of their garage. But so that's really the reason why we put it together. I mean, you guys are about foundational wealth and been selling gold and silver for decades, and this is no different to minerals or energy, right? Foundationally, we all need them, we all use it, and demand is growing, of course. And we're finding fewer and fewer fields. Sustainable technology is growing in efficiency, and so there's just this sort of and of course, natural gas we see as kind of the bridge from what we call legacy energy resources to what's going to be sustainable technology and sustainable services. So we've got, a lot of time, obviously, to make that bridge, because legacy petroleum will never go away in a sense, but we're finding fewer and fewer fields. And I think the industry as a whole, and as great stewards of our environment, are very open and receptive. And so these things are truly profitable now. And so this is a cross-sector aggregation of those particular assets under one token. And so we're fractionalizing the ownership of that. So very simply put, the token now is just a financial instrument which backs the actual equity in all of these assets. And that's what it is today. I think what we'll see Storh become over the next 12 to 24 and 36 months can be much greater than that. There's a lot we can do on the blockchain side and commodities, and build a commodities platform that underpin the value of our token and the assets that we have under management. So no, I think it was staring us right in our face, Bill, and I think it took Bill to kind of hit me upside the head and said, you know, it's right here. So we just need to roll it out for the people. And that was a very easy process from that point forward. And I think just by the feedback that we're getting in the market, I think we're at the right place at the right time. Not only that, people understand what we're doing, and once they wrap their head around our industry and all of our industry terms, what we're doing is very simple. So, Bill, do you have anything to add to that commentary?
Yeah, hi Ryan. It's great, always great to be have a call with you. No, I think yourself and Claudia have summarised it very, very well. I mean, it's a very straightforward concept. People are staking ownership in real tangible assets, and these assets generate revenues, and those revenues will be distributed to the stakeholders, which are the token holders in one sense. So it's a very simple but very, very powerful and transparent model that we have here, and that's really the beauty of the blockchain in that respect. We're bringing assets that have been generating revenues for a very long time, placing those assets on the blockchain and making them available to people all around the world, regardless of their status, their wealth or education, their creed, to be able to have ownership and diversification in real assets generating income outside of their country. For example, I'm here in Kenya right now, getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. But people, in one sense, here have the great opportunity to diversify assets and diversify their income into another currency outside their Kenyan shillings, to earn euros and earn US dollars through the platform of Utopian Global with Storh. That's very exciting for the people here. It's very exciting for people around the world, actually.
So one of the questions I get a lot is, people say, well, oil and gas is in energy and mineral mining, all that stuff is very risky. And I would say to you in general, I would say for most people, I guess it would be. But when you look at the team of people that we have behind what we're doing and how we kind of compartmentalize the people, their experience, they have twice as much experience in this business than I do. I've only been in it nearly 2 decades, but I've got guys with 40, 45, nearly 50 years of experience in their particular disciplines. But when you look at this slide is a great simple slide, but it kind of simplifies our business model or our risk strategy in the sense that we're not out there looking for theoretical ideas or sustainable technology that may come to the market in the next 5 to 10 years. We're building a foundation of things that have cash flow today. So assets like you just mentioned that have been around for decades and have decades of productive life left. So that's oil, natural gas, liquids. That also could include some midstream assets which are already generating cash flow today. And then we look beyond that. Okay, because those assets are already relatively mature, because they're already cash flowing today, what's gonna drive a higher growth or higher internal rate of return than things that we have to pay for the cash flow for? And that's buying natural gas minerals, because natural gas has a huge future, not only here in the US, but around the globe. Sustainable services, we talked about that. How do we recycle water for our industry? And of course, midstream, which has about 4 or 5 different profit centers built into it, which is our current business. Randall and I run a company called BlackRock Midstream. And so this is what we do today. This isn't new. We look for cracks and niches in the market, as I point out here, and only engage ourselves in projects where we know we can add value. And of course, we can only add value if we have the team and the people to wrap around that particular asset. Otherwise, it's not worth doing, because then we won't be able to execute on it, because there's only so many of us, right? And then long term, kind of looking into the future, what's going to drive that multiple, right? What's going to give us that huge lift when we're listed on an exchange? And it really revolves around 2 areas, right? Sustainable technology, which we see is going to be the future of energy generation. Of course, crude oil, natural gas, or legacy energy resources aren't going away, but we're already seeing the demand, or already seeing the execution of sustainable technology growing around the world. That's, your basic thing: solar, wind, tidal. So we don't want to lose sight of that, because that is the carrot at the end. But also our mineral recovery project in Peru, I think, has the scope to probably dwarf everything else that we have in our portfolio. And that's something that's not going to take years. It's going to take probably months for us to get it started, and it could be within the next year that we're into production. But certainly that's in our near-term plan to get that process started, and that project is tremendous. I mean, it's what we, and I told this to Keithy on the call earlier, what we outline in our white paper is just a small, it's a minuscule portion. It's a fraction of probably 1% of the entire problem around Cerro de Pasco. It's just one little area that we've got defined because of the knowledge of our team has going into this particular area. So we'll never be able to exploit all the opportunity at Cerro de Pasco, and it's a project that will outlive all of us, I'm sure. So anyway.
Thank you, Ryan. I mean, that's really great information right there, and probably from traveling around the world, and I don't know in how many countries I've been just since the beginning of this year, but in quite a few. The common theme is obviously always from the people. They have been scammed. Yes. They went on this new trend of cryptocurrencies, didn't really know what they bought in, most of them not. Thought it's gonna be the next gold rush, obviously, and failed miserably. So what you are doing, in one sense, you're using that technology of the Ethereum ERC-223 token, but actually the oil and gas industry, it's not a new industry, it's an old industry. So you have gathered with your team all the knowledge to source the right projects which are profitable, and of course the people, they actually invest in that token. Why? Well, obviously that those assets which you purchase, you source with your team, and you work not alone but with a large team, actually generate those profits. So this is really in a nutshell what you're doing, correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, we're just using the Ethereum blockchain as a quick means to transfer value, right? Versus having a share and it allows us to, trade 24/7 once we're on a crypto exchange. It allows us to be able to send our tokens to anyone in the world as an exchange of value, as long as they're KYC'd, and it's instant, and it's almost costs you nothing to do. So it's a fantastic financial instrument, but obviously backed by real intangible assets. So if for whatever reason people ask about the Ethereum blockchain, because there's always doubters out there, but if for whatever reason the Ethereum blockchain blew up tomorrow, the value doesn't go away. The ownership and the assets don't go away. Another blockchain comes to replace it. But we feel like Ethereum's been beat on pretty hard from a security perspective, and is the most well adopted and the most deployed and the most distributed network to use as our means for distribution. So
that's a great valuable point you actually did bring up. So no matter if the Ethereum blockchain doesn't work or whatever would happen, the assets are still there. So the oil is pumping, the mineral recovery is going on, the oil needs to be blended, needs to be transported, and so on. And so it's a real thing, it's a real asset. And I try to sometimes, like people try to struggle to really comprehend that, because I guess that opportunity was never for them. It was never, they would have never been possible to buy into such a thing, because that was usually just for the rich and the ultra rich, correct?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, all of our projects, as I point out, are really off-market projects. They're not ones that are on, for sale in the open market. And if we didn't procure them, if we didn't buy these assets or participate and develop them, somebody else within our industry would, or some investment banker, private equity fund would be doing that. So absolutely, yeah, these are not available on the open market.
Yeah, and then of course the question which people raise, and I'm just talking them out here because we have a new audience and they want to, and because they get those same questions all the time, is well, why? Like for example, one of the projects which we are looking into, that's the foundational project, which is of course this oil field in Texas, where I have been traveling, where Bill has been traveling, and some of our leaders have been traveling. That is a producing field since many years. So why would actually somebody who makes passive income with that actually want to sell it? So sometimes people, they don't really understand why actually somebody would sell that.
Yeah, it's everyone's got it's the same reason why, I don't know, if someone would want to sell their car or their house or a stock. This particular seller, I'll just give you a little bit of background. This particular seller's up in age, he's in his 80s. And he needs the money for other things, and he's thinking about his family and his trust and various things. And he's been in the project for nearly 12 years. So I think he's done really well on the asset, because going back to 2003, the asset only had 1.5 million barrels. Well, they produced almost 4 million barrels since then, with a project that only had 1.6 or 7 million barrels, and there's another 3 to 4 million barrels left, not to include what additional reserves that we'll find through our development. And we've got, this is a 6,000 acre project. We'll probably drill, just like infill development drilling, probably 4 or 5 wells a year, maybe 6. But we've got a list of high graded prospects in the field, not to even talk about all the behind pipe reserves, which we already know exist and have the logs on, but probably about 30 prospects just within the field itself. So we'll continue to find more reserves, just like he did, but I think he's just ready to exit. And so,
and just sorry, didn't want to interrupt you, but of course, so of course, I mean, what Storh is planning to do, obviously, is so once, of course, the assets are purchased, or one of the assets, the first asset is purchased, then of course you want to pay out the quarterly dividends or distributions, we want to call them, the quarterly distributions. So the quarterly distributions, we want to pay the first out in the month of April already. So that means, of course, for the people who purchase the token, well, they will gonna see their first little reward back then. I had a call the other day with a very smart person, I would say very wealthy, from Nigeria, in fact. But he was put on a call through actually Storh, through the South African team, to me. Very nice man, very well educated, and coming probably from oil and gas already. And he said, it was actually a funny story, but so we were with a few people on the call, and they were listening in, and they were new, and they wanted to learn about Storh. And the man said, well, this is a long-term project. That is absolute. I mean, he had read the white paper, he really liked it, and he said, this is not just like, okay, you get in, you get out, you make your profit. No, this is a long-term project, because what the company and you is doing, obviously, is you're raising the funds in order to buy assets, and as more assets get actually purchased, eventually, as the value of the company is going to grow over time, as more the token will grow in value over time, and as more eventually you can pay out in the distributions. So, I mean, I wished I could just recall that conversation, because I really liked what he said. So many people, of course, they want to get quick rich, they want to make money overnight, they want to just look for, get in the cheapest way to buy into token, which is now, but then in order to sell it out. But this is not really the concept which we are planning. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I think everyone still has a little bit of the hysteria of 2017 and 18, right? Where you could buy a crypto for 0.0001 and it went to $2. I mean, tens of thousands % return. But there was nothing underpinning that, right? As quickly as it went up, it went down. And some of them are probably real, and a lot of them will go away. But he's absolutely right. I mean, if you look at our assets, I mean, we'll be around for decades. We'll be producing these assets for decades, provided we don't decide to, you know, monetize the entire company at some point in time, or roll it up to a public company, or create some monetization event for everyone, right? So that's a possibility down the road as well. So yeah, I certainly would never sell this as a get rich quick project. I think, you know, when you look at all of our assets and you think, and you can look at the reserves and look at the cash flow that it generates and the internal rate of return, I think we'll do very well from a cash flow perspective and a return on investment perspective. I think the real question mark right now is, you know, what kind of lift or what kind of multiple are we going to get on the open market? And I think that's where we can kind of reach for the sky a little bit, because this is new. There's nothing like this on the market, especially in the crypto space, on the equity-backed token space. And I think if we do this right and we roll it out correctly and we build this privately through Utopian Global, and then do our public offering, you know, to the world, a fully open sort of equity token offering, and then do a listing, I think we're going to see the highest possible, you know, valuation that we could possibly see. And I think that's where our major lift and event, you know, could come into play. But again, if you're not interested in monetizing, you know, we'll continue to send out quarterly distributions as long as the company's in existence. So, and we'll be rolling out additional tokens too. So this will be Storh token number 1. I could see this year potentially rolling out a Storh token number 2 for the US market. And by the end of the year, maybe even rolling out a Storh token 3, which will be the successor to this one for Utopian Global. So once this gets to a public exchange and is open to the public and listed on a security exchange, we'll have another token to back it right behind it as well. So we can continue to buy more assets and aggregate more assets for the investors. So.
Thank you, Ryan. And I just had to turn off my camera because the internet is getting a little bit slow here. So sorry for that.
That's okay.
Yes, and so, yeah, and so this is basically what, of course, the listeners here can see on this chart. So that's not, and I always say that that's not just numbers you made up or we made up just for, you know, to sell the token or whatever. No, this is actually based on the acquiring of the assets and of the value of these assets which you acquire from the raising of the funds, correct?
No, that's right. I mean, everything here is, you know, is calculated the best of our ability. This is going to fluctuate a little bit. You know, if I were to make up numbers, I'd put them much, much higher to try to pump this up. But no, these are based on real estimated, you know, enterprise value of the company, and kind of an industry price to earnings ratio, which I think we could support on the crypto market. You know, especially, it's all about adoption too, right? So what we don't want to do is have Utopian Global be the only owners of the token and then try to list it on an exchange and then all those guys. So we want to promote this fully openly after that on a public market to drive demand, because obviously on an exchange, you don't want just sellers, you want buyers and sellers, of course. So that creates that liquidity for people and hopefully drives the price higher. So that's the plan anyway. Do have a little bit of news this week. Our website should be up, and we'll be doing some slight rebranding. So there'll be another iteration of the white paper. And of course, you know, at the end of this month, we have to look at a price re-rating. So we're working on that in the background as well. So everyone's aware of that timeline. And we put an estimation of what we think that might be in the white paper. Of course, subject to some, you know, internal valuation adjustments that we have. So a lot of news coming out here over the next couple of weeks, but very excited where everything's going. And it seems like adoption is just, you know, like a hyperbolic incline, which is great. So the feedback's been fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, there's great feedback everywhere we go. It takes first a little while that people comprehend it, I must say, yeah. But once they get it, they're really, really excited. So so this is why, of course, a little bit of education is needed, because again, as so many people have been in those pump dump crypto, zero coin and whatever coin. So basically, that's a very different aspect which we have. It's a very different, basically, product in that terms. So looking forward for the new white paper. Give it to me before before we have it translated, finished into Korean and Russian, which is under the go right now. As you know, we have the white paper translated into Spanish, into Vietnamese. What else? English. Korean is in Korean. It's actually finished. Sorry, Korean is finished, so it needs to be updated. And now it's going to be Russian as well, which is great. So yes, and so just quickly recap for the listeners. Till February, end of February, we still have the token price for the Utopian Global members if they buy a certain package for 25 cents per token, and that is going to go away, 100% going away, and you will soon announce the new price, Ryan, correct?
Yes, correct. Here over the next week, because I think we have to do some programming. So yeah, I need to get on top of that.
Let's get on top of it. And of course, for you guys right now, you can listen. You can actually download the white paper. Looking forward very much to the website of Storh. But now for the new listeners here on board, how can you own Storh? Well, there's two ways to get involved with Utopian Global, which is the marketing arm. One is becoming a customer. So you just basically want to become a customer, maybe buy precious metals or Storh token, or you become an affiliate. An affiliate means a marketer. So you want to actually promote the products and services in Utopian Global. That means also the Storh token, and you want to get rewards for the marketing of of these products. So and from Storh, so the money which is raised for Storh obviously goes into those different asset type or asset classes, and then the return from these asset classes is then paid back through distributions to the customers and to the token holders quarterly, being the first distribution being paid out in April, which is actually coming up too soon. So it's very soon. So what do you do next? Well, you go to the person who referred you to this presentation, you open up a free account, you register, you complete your KYC. KYC means you must upload your passport or your ID, and you must sign the document. It's really important. As you know, right at the moment, we are on a soft agreement, meaning for future tokens. So the token is not live on the blockchain yet. It's a pre-sale, so you're really the first ones getting into it. It's going to come very, very soon on the blockchain, on the ERC-223. But that's why you really need to sign the document. You need to upload your passport. And then from once you have done this, you then get or either denied if you didn't do it right, or you get approved. And once you have been approved by the company, now you can go ahead and purchase your products and services or your Storh token. The Storh token for a customer right now at the pre-sale is 40 cents per token, and you can buy from as little as 50 euro. So the way to buy is through Bitcoin and through bank transfer. Now, right now we are in Africa here, so we have GT Bank, which is a guaranteed trust bank, very known in Africa, all over the world. Otherwise, you have can transfer to a Switzerland bank account. And very soon we're going to have, we hopefully hear soon news from Bill that we have a credit card. So it's a 3D verified by Visa or Master secure card. So that means you're going to get a code, then you need to put this code in, then you get a phone verification, you need to have to put this in with your bank. So of course this is an anti-fraud measurement. If you wish to become an affiliate marketer, meaning you want to also get paid through the marketing services, which is which you can get paid actually 8 different ways. So by using the whole promotional platform, then you can come on board with one of these 6 packages, either from 99 up to 3,500 euro packages. Whilst the first 2 packages, the 99 and the 170 euro package, Storh token at the moment till end of February costs you 33 cents. In that package, you're going to get 270 in the 99 package, you're going to get 510 in the 170 euro package, and from the member package on, the token is actually 25 cents. Right now till the end of February, so we are soon at the end of February. We have like 10 days left, I believe, or 9 days left before those prices change. And right now you're going to get 1,560 Storh tokens. in the 390 euro package or any package above. Now you can buy as many tokens as you wish. In addition, that's actually what people do. So many people, they buy more tokens on top of it. So you may come in with a 99 euro package, but you may put another 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. We have people sending in way more of that. If you want to become a marketer, a promoter, obviously, also what's important for you to understand is there's a 50 euro monthly qualification, meaning in order to promote the products and services every month you pay 50 euro, and that entitles you, you get more Storh tokens. If you are outside the United States, if you're inside the United States, the token will be replaced by gold or silver. And you're going to get the whole platform, the whole ecosystem, which is your gold, silver, precious metals platform. You can buy your gold or silver wholesale. You can sell it back with no fees. You can store it free in the LBMA certified storage facility. You can even have physical delivery if you deliver, and we have access to the premium education program. That's all in the platform in Utopian Global. In the United States, as we cannot right now sell Storh over there, all the packages will be replaced by precious metals. Yes, and so basically that's a little bit of an overview we have today. So your next step is contact the person that invited you to the presentation, and understand that the Storh token is actually not licensed for distribution in the United States. And as a result, it may not be offered, sold, or delivered there. Neither the personal information material or copies thereof shall be sent or taken to the United States of America or issued in the US or to US person in the terms of regulations of the United States Security Acts of 1933 in the respective current version. And a little disclaimer as well, unless you really fully understand and accept the nature of the potential risk inherent in the purchase of Storh tokens, you should not even purchase Storh tokens. That's why we encourage everybody to read the white paper. I understand that people don't like to read, but when it comes to a thing like this, which is a really amazing project, you should take some night lecture and read. Read is good. It's good for development as well of you personally. So you actually got to read it. And we have it in the different languages available, as I said. So with that, basically, I want to finish up this presentation. We do have some questions, Ryan, for you. There's one question here actually coming from Shirley. If I just can read it out, and actually just to because I think I told you the other day. So Shirley is actually the lady who her family invested into your energy fund back then through Philip Judge.
All right. Hi, Shirley. Thanks for joining the call.
So let me just get the question here. And she's asking, does the quarterly payouts mean an approximately 20% of company profits? If so, are you able to give an approximate amount per 1,000 tokens?
Yeah, that's the tough thing. I get that question a lot. And I think right now in the early stages, it's going to be really tough to nail down what that number is going to be. So there are a few things obviously at play, right? So one of them is we need to acquire the assets, right? So I need to know exactly what we've got under management. And then of course it takes time for that revenue to accrue. So I need to understand what the accrual of that revenue is. And then of course, what we don't want to get into a position of is sending out 100% of the net revenue, right? Especially if we have projects that we're trying to develop, because most of the value that we're going to create, which is going to drive the price of the token up, is going to be where we add value. So not where we just bought production and send the revenue out. Of course we could do that, and then I'm just kind of a middleman. We want to take revenues and we want to invest them into things that are going to generate some capital growth. So we've always got projects in development too. So I've got to look at that development budget. So yeah, it's really hard. I'd love to be able to give everyone a number so they can hang their hat on it, but I'm reluctant to do that because obviously I want to kind of under promise and over deliver. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan,
Ryan, with that said, our target isn't, I mean, I think Shirley's question was 20% per quarter. It's certainly not going to be 20% per quarter. That's clear. But what we're aiming is, of course, is 20% per annum, correct, which is around about 5%, 4 or 5% per quarter. That's what we're trying to aim at. Of course, that will fluctuate on variables given any particular asset revenues earned in that period, etc. But that's generally what we're targeting based on, and these numbers are based on the historical payouts or revenues generated from these particular assets that you've been looking at. But it's certainly not per quarter, Shirley. We wish it was, but it's not per quarter. We're aiming, that's the sort of target we're looking at for an annual basis.
Yeah, that's a reasonable response, Bill. I think that's right. I think our target is around that 20% per annum. Of, hopefully we can do better than that. And I think we will be able to, but certainly don't want to say that is going to be our kind of minimum case, or to expect it and then not receive that exact number. So, like I said, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So.
And I think I just see here on the audience, because I'm just checking the names, I actually see the man I was praising from Nigeria, the very smart, intelligent man. I mean, one of the best questions I ever got, actually, from the audience. So he's actually on the call. Very great. So hello to you, Mr. Epota. I don't know if I pronounced your name right, but you were the man on the call the other day. I just talked about, I really liked your the way you try to educate people on the long-term project, which really this is. So fantastic. All right, and Shirley says she did realize it was per annum. So great. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. Unless you want to do some closing words, Bill, Ryan, thank you to all the listeners, all the audience, and yes, it's an amazing project. Let's build, because at the end of the day, it's going to build your wealth.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Claudia, I really appreciate Ryan and his team there in the US, and our relationship goes back a long time to 2004, and I invested a 7-figure in that energy fund back then, and I know that you invested a large amount a couple of years later. It worked out fantastic. What we're really investing in here is people. You're investing in the team, and when you look at the white paper, when you look at the team described in the white paper that Ryan's engaged with and working with you, they're totally experienced. This is not a theoretical concept. These are a very highly experienced team with many, many decades of experience involved in these assets that are generating incomes. These tokens are discounted because they're the pre-seed launch in one sense at 25 cents a token. Now's the time to get in. I mean, I was looking at bank term deposit rates here in Kenya, where I am right now. I think 10-year fixed rate, 1.69% return on your money. I mean, talk about going backwards. And here you have an asset here where you're earning tokens, equity tokens backed by real assets, generating income, which are going to give you nearly 20% return, around 20% return per year. I mean, to me, that was a no-brainer. And you're positioning yourself on the supply side of this industry rather than just being on the consumer side. So to me, like it was back in 2004, 2005, it's really a no-brainer. And people need to do the due diligence, people need to read the white paper, and people need to be able to get engaged with us, but don't go beyond, don't put yourself at financial risk. There's no need for people to be able to have to do that. But you've got a solid team here, and it's going to be around for a long time, these assets. And this is just the first of many assets to come. So thank you, Ryan. Look forward to catching up with you soon, mate. And
yeah, look forward to it as well.
Tonight's call.
Yep. Thank you both. I really appreciate it. And I couldn't do it without you, because obviously it takes people, it takes teamwork, it takes adoption. So to everyone on the call and to our existing token holders, this is a partnership. So we can't build this without you guys. So thank you.
Thank you guys, and have all a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.